Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reading from an anonymous user. So let's jump right into it. So I was looking at these little blind boxers on Amazon that had really good reviews, and they were like $3 each, and they came in little sets of 6. So I thought, wow, this could be kind of fun. You know, you get a little mini surprise. And so I ordered 2 sets of them. When they arrived, I put one set aside for my daughter, and I opened the other set because I was just curious. Inside this tiny box was what looked like a little mini coffin. It was maybe 1.5 inches long, and when I opened it up, there was a little doll inside. The doll had no limbs, it was just this torso with a blank face, and it was wearing one of those Victorian nightgowns. It also had these little black, I guess you could say ballet flats, I guess like little shoes, and then I thought, okay, well, that's weird, that's creepy, but maybe it's just some kid's toy. So I pulled out the next one, and it was just a pile of flesh. It looked like ground beef or something, so I was grossed out, obviously, and kinda scared at this point. And I opened the next one, and it was just a bunch of teeth, like front teeth, back teeth, just all jumbled together. I was really freaked out at this point. I didn't open the rest of them. I just put them all in the bag, and put them all back in the box, and put them in the closet. The next day, I got my daughter her own little box, and she was very excited to get it. She pulled out the first one, and it was a bloodied meat cleaver. Okay, that's pretty messed up to send to a kid. Then she pulled out another one, and it was like a bloody meat hook. So we were both kind of disturbed by that. Then she started opening up the rest of them, and she got a bloodied chainsaw, a bloodied meat cleaver, another bloodied meat cleaver, and a bloodied axe. All of these were like keychain size. We were both really upset. We didn't order this stuff. I didn't order this stuff. This wasn't on the description or anything. I immediately emailed the seller and told them about it, and I never got a reply. So I filed a complaint with Amazon, and they refunded me the money that I spent on both of these sets of boxers. This whole thing has just really turned me off of blind boxers. I don't know why they're so popular. It's just kind of freaky to me. Now, every time I see one of those videos of people pulling out the newest Funko Pop or whatever, and it asks like, oh, look at this rare one. I got the rare one. It makes me want to scream. I hope they never make a comeback. They're just kind of freaky and they're not worth it. Yeah, that is pretty messed up. And that S honestly kind of scary that you would order something that S advertised as like a cute little blind box and then you get like a bloody meat cleaver. That's kind of messed up. I'm glad you got your money back though. That's always good. If you have any scary stories of things you found in a blind box, or if you just have any other scary stories, leave them in the comments below. I love reading them. I might even read them on my channel. Just give me permission first. But yeah, thank you for watching and have a good night. So I was playing Minecraft the other day, and I decided to go into creative mode and just build something cool for once instead of doing all these parkour maps that my subscribers have been requesting. So I was just building something cool, and I built this huge castle. It took me forever, and so I was finally finished, and it looked so good. I decided to invite my friend over and show him because he always likes to see what I build in my. So I invited him, and he joined, and he was like, dude, that is so cool. Let's go check out your secret base. Because I had invited him to my secret base and he hadn't been there yet. So I had this huge castle and I was like, yeah, it took me forever to build this thing. Don't destroy it. And he was like, I'm not going to destroy it. I'm not even going to go inside of it. I'm just going to stay outside and watch you. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I went through the front door of the castle and he stayed outside. And then when I went inside, he disappeared. And I was like, wait, how did he disappear? Did he leave the game? No, he was still in the game. He just stood outside and he didn't follow me in. So I was like, weird. So we were both standing in the same place and he was outside and I was like, what do you see? And he was like, all I see is the side of the castle. I don't see anything else. And I was like, well, let me walk around and I'll show you what I see. And I started walking around and he was like, why are you walking diagonally? And I was like, why are you seeing that? And he was like, it looks like you're walking diagonally. You're not going straight ahead. And I was like, no, I am going straight ahead. Look. And I started going straight ahead and he was like, whoa, wait, now you're teleporting everywhere. And I was freaking out. And then I tried to jump and I fell through the floor and I died. And then I respawned back at my base. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. And then he said something really weird. He said, you should probably leave this game right now. And I was like, why should I leave the game? What's wrong? And he said, just leave. Just leave. And then he left the game. So I was like, weird. So I saved my stuff and I quit the game. And then later that night I decided to get on another server and I told my friend about what happened and he was like, that's weird. And then he told me, hey, do you know what the name of that map is that you were playing on? And I was like, no. Why do you ask? And he said, there is a backstory to that map and it is actually supposed to be like a horror map. There's no win in the game. You can't win. You're supposed to die. And there is all these creepy things that happen and people have gone insane playing this map. They lose their minds. And I was like, wait, what? No way. And he was like, yeah, I'm telling you. Look it up. It's called the Insane Asylum or something like that. The Insane Asylum? Look it up. And I was like, all right, I'll look it up. So I looked it up and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I gave up and I was like, whatever. And then one day later, I was going through some old Minecraft videos. And I found this video that I did a while ago on this channel, and in the video I showed my screen, and you could see the name of the map. The name of the map was the Insane Asylum. Welcome to my channel. This is the worst thing I've ever seen a goon do. It was the middle of summer, and we were working a 14-hour shift in a small town. My partner and I were dispatched to a residence for a welfare check. It was a hot day, and we had even had any AC in our cruiser for about a week, so we had the windows down. As we were responding, I could hear my partner breathing heavily, like he was out of shape. But he assured me that he was fine. He just needed some water. Upon arrival, the caller advised she had received a text from her son that said he was going to harm himself. She was worried because he was usually a happy-go-lucky type of kid, so it was really out of character for him to send her a message like that. The house was fairly large, with a big front yard and a driveway that wrapped around to the back. We parked in the driveway and started walking up to the front door. As we got closer, we could see a young man sitting on the porch swing. He looked to be in his early 20s, maybe 5'9", 160 pounds, long hair, skinny jeans, the whole emo look. He had a pair of scissors in his hand, and he was swinging his legs back and forth slowly. We stopped on the steps, and I asked him if he was okay. He looked at us for a moment, and then responded, "Nope, I'm not okay." Then he took the scissors and started making a gesture across his throat. I knew exactly what he was trying to do, but my partner didn't. So I quickly grabbed his arm to stop him. I tried to talk him down while my partner called for backup. I told him everything would be okay, that we were there to help, but he was having none of it. He started screaming and thrashing around, trying to get away from us. I held on tight, though, because I knew if he got away, he would either harm himself or someone else. Then, out of nowhere, a loud voice boomed from behind us. "Get off my son, you dirty animal." Startled, we turned around to see a large woman with a thick-set jaw and veins popping out of her neck. She was stomping up the steps towards us. She pushed past me and started yelling at the officers. "Do something, do something." Before either of us could say a word, she grabbed the young man by the collar of his shirt and dragged him off the porch. She swung him around to face us and yelled, "Do you have any idea what you're doing? You almost had him killed." I could see the pain and fear in the young man's eyes as he looked from his mother to me and then back to her. Something inside me snapped. All the anger and frustration I had been holding on to came rushing out. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of, "Ma'am, we were trying to help your son. If you want us to leave, we will, but we want you to get some help for him." I was livid. I couldn't believe how she treated her own flesh and blood, and to think that this was supposed to be a welfare check, a call for help, made me sick to my stomach. My partner, being the voice of reason, stepped in and said, "Let's just take him to the hospital, get him some help." As we were leaving, I could hear the mother screaming in the background, "You're gonna pay for this. I'm gonna sue you." We ignored her and drove to the nearest hospital. Once we arrived, I helped the young man off the stretcher and walked him into the emergency room. I remember thinking that he deserved more than what his mother had given him, more than what this world had to offer. As I walked away, I looked back to see him sitting on the bench outside the emergency room. I wanted to tell him that he deserved better, that there were people who cared about him, but all I could muster up was, "Take care." And with that, we got back in our car and drove away. To this day, I still wonder about that young man. I hope he got the help he needed and that he can find happiness in his life. As for his mother, I can only hope that karma catches up to her. That was the worst thing I've ever seen a goon do. What's the worst thing you've ever seen a goon do? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this story, stay tuned for more. When I tell you to imagine the worst creature in the world, what do you see? Some kind of amalgamation of insects. Maybe a humanoid with too many legs and eyes. How about a corpse that's still dripping with blood and guts, but it's moving around on its own accord, and it's hungry for more? Welcome back to my channel. Today we re-gone. Now I'll be looking at one of the most disgusting stand users in all of anime. So if you like creepy crawlies, flesh, teeth, and eyes everywhere, then make sure to stick around for this episode of Bizarre Adventure. The stand ability known as the Butcher was wielded by a man named Doppio, who is one of the main antagonists in the battle of the 50th gym leader Dio. Now Doppio himself is a pretty terrifying individual. He has no qualms with killing anyone, and he loves nothing more than torturing his victims before taking their lives. To make matters worse, he also had a really disturbing obsession with teeth and would often use them as a form of intimidation or even a weapon himself. And that's not including his appearance, which honestly is pretty off-putting. Just take a look at these buck teeth. Doppio first appeared in Part 5, Golden Wind, where he introduced his stand ability called the Butcher. This power could increase his strength, speed, and durability to superhuman levels, making him a force to be reckoned with in combat. But that's not what made this stand so disturbing. His stand ability allowed him to remove the skin from anything, but specifically, when he used it on humans, it would remove the skin from their bones, literally turning them into a skeleton within seconds. But that wasn't even the worst part. The removed skin would then be stored inside of his stand and used as an arsenal, being launched at his enemies like shrapnel or even used as a makeshift set of armor. Just the thought of this guy stripping you of your skin and then using it against you is enough to give me good. But things just got worse from there, because as if removing human skin wasn't bad enough, if he were to come across a human corpse, he would then proceed to sew the skin back onto them, reattaching any limbs that were missing and even reattaching their head. The only thing that he wouldn't bring back was their eyes, which he would gouge out and feast upon. This brought a whole new meaning to the term reanimated corpse, because we've seen plenty of reanimated corpses in anime before, but none of them have ever been quite as realistic or as gruesome as this. This guy legit single-handedly took on Bruno Bucciarati and his gang and managed to hold his own. Even when he was up against some pretty tough opponents, he still managed to keep going, which is impressive considering that his body was basically made out of patchwork. Now, the only reason why he was eventually defeated is because he kept messing around and toying with his opponents, which ultimately led to his demise. But still, even when he was at his weakest, he was still able to dish out some serious damage, and he didn't go down without a fight. So I think we can all agree that Doppio definitely deserves the title of one of the most disgusting stand users in all of anime. But what do you think? Is there anyone else who you think should have made it on this list? If so, then let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Bizarre Adventure. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It genuinely means a lot to me and helps me create more content like this for you guys to enjoy. Anyways, I'll see you next time.